All right, so I'm going to read the second part of Sugar Hill. Like I said before, this is one of my favorite books. So we left off on chapter 2, the middle of chapter 2. And Ben had basically told Marie that he liked her, and then Flambe kind of caught him kissing and making out a little bit. And Flambe don't really care about what they doing, but we learned that Marie actually, she's a prostitute, but she said she ain't have any choice but to be a prostitute. And but she has dreams and she want to be rich and stuff. Um so Flambe found them and he was like, all right, y'all, we gotta go. So that's where we are now. When she reached solid ground once again, she set down the nest and went in search of her lost shoe. She searched for more than 10 minutes. How would they know? They don't have watches. Maybe they do. Who knows? But everything was ruined at the time. So whatever. She searched for more than 10 minutes, but it was nowhere to be found. Marie frowned, thinking of what lay ahead, crossing the mountain barefoot. Dang it to heck! Actually, those words are the cuss words, but I don't use cuss words. So she said, dang it to heck and back, she cried. Why didn't why didn't I dig through the rubble for extra shoes? She sat down next to the kingfisher's nest and began to cry in despair. I mean, I would cry too. Like being in a situation like that seems really um frustrating. Flambe and Ben had caught and killed a large Jamaican iguana. That's what they're going to eat for dinner. Are you sure it's edible? Wondered Ben. Of course. It was one of the main staples of the Arawak Indians. Now, um, those are the natives of the Caribbean. They called themselves Arawaks. Explained Flambe. Besides, almost any species of lizard is edible. It tastes a good deal like chicken. So everything tastes like chicken, I guess, if you cook it right. How do you know so much about all these delicacies? And even then, eating a lizard was a delicacy when you had to eat whatever you could eat. Eating a lizard was a delicacy. Haven't you ever been shipwrecked, my lad? Ben shook his head. Well, it's not a fate I wish on anyone, but it does teach you survival, especially when it comes to finding something to eat. Now, if Marie has stuck on her egg hunt, we'll have ourselves a good hearty breakfast. Well, we'll need it. Can I ask you something, Captain? Why are we going all the way to Montego Bay? I have my reasons, Ben, and they're darn good ones. Here, help me skin our funny looking breakfast. Marie heard them coming and quickly dried her tears. She carried the eggs to the blazing fire and attempted to compose herself. Ben was the first to notice her red eyes. Why, what's wrong, Marie? I lost one of my shoes, she sobbed. She turned to Flambe. You're not going to leave me here, she pleaded. You're not going to leave me here? He smiled. I don't think he's going to leave her there, but I read the book before. Well, now, we'll just have to think on that over breakfast, won't we, Ben? Ben was aghast. Why, of course we're going to take her. We can leave her behind. she'd surely perish. Plus, she's a woman, the only woman. So, of course, they're going to take her. A survivor like Marie? I doubt it. Sheffield laughed. Now, let's see what she found. 5 eggs, a goodly amount of breakfast. What if they're, well, you know, partly formed? Meaning there might be a bird inside the egg. Flambe shrugged. They're still good eating, unless they've started sprouting feathers, and I doubt that. He put the lizard on the spit and lowered it close to the licking flames. Whatever is the thing, grimaced. Whatever is that thing, grimaced Marie. An iguana, replied Ben, quickly trying to make light of it. You've eaten them before, asked Marie incredulously. That should be, you've eaten them before? Of course, Ben, replied Ben. They taste a lot like chicken. Flambe cackled as he turned the iguana over the fire. Tell you what I'm going to do, Marie. I'll take them coney skins and outfit you with a pair of shoes. Marie glanced at the skins suspended from the low-hanging tree limbs and wailed, but they're not dry. They're still all juicy. I'll put the furry side inside, explained Flambe. When the iguana was deemed done by the pirate captain, he set the flat rock over the coals for the grease from the iguana to drip and coated its top. When the grease began to sizzle, Flambe cracked the kingfisher eggs and set them to fry. Nothing to worry about, Marie. They're perfect. No beaks, no feet, or feathers. The 3 sat down and ate, cleaning up every scrap of food. Flambe broke the iguana bones between his strong teeth and sucked out the marrow. Ben fed and watered the donkey, and Marie put out the fire while Flambe fashioned a pair of boots out of the rodent skins for her. I'll pad the inside bottoms with guava leaves. Why, you'll think we're walking on billowy clouds over the great blue mountains. Flambe knelt in front of Marie. She lifted her skirts and allowed him to fit the makeshift boots on her feet. They feel marvelously comfortable, Flambe. Oh, that's innovative, huh? Flambe knelt in front of. All right, well, sorry about that. I got a phone call, so I don't exactly remember where I stopped on which word, but I'm going to go back a little bit and I'm going to continue there. Okay. All right, so let's say I'll pad the inside bottoms with guava leaves. Why, you'll think you're walking on billowy clouds over the great blue mountains. Flambe knelt in front of Marie. She lifted her skirts and allowed him to fit the makeshift boots on her feet. They feel marvelously comfortable, Flambe. You can show your appreciation later, he said. Now, come on, everybody. Let's get that jackass moving and get the heck out of here. By noon, they had made only 2 miles. The trail was treacherous. Once they nearly lost the donkey down a steep mountain grade. Oh, goodness. They traveled without conversation, each of them focusing on the inhospitable terrain, frightened of making a wrong step and being injured, knowing full well the other 2 might proceed without the injured one. Marie, in particular, was exhausted. She was not used to hard work, at least not standing up. The muscles in her calves felt as if they had been tied into knots. Her feet were bruised and sore. Despite the new pair of boots, still Flambe drove them on as he switched the donkey's buttocks with a narrow limb from a maho tree. I don't even know what a maho tree is. As much as Marie hated the rough trip, she dreaded stopping for the night even more. She had seen each man staring at her. She had seen each man staring at each other when the other wasn't looking. Their expressions were identical. She had seen that expression before in London, on board ship in Port Royal. It was the challenge one male offered another. The challenge of superiority, of complete dominance, of being the winner. She had men fight over her before, but usually it had never been anything serious. Alcohol and passion made men's bloods tempestuous. But this was serious. It was as if she were the last woman on earth, and Eve with two Adams. Time and time again, she looked uneasily at the sky, not wanting the sun to continue on its journey. Continue it did, and night was fast approaching. I bet you she wished she had a lock and key, a chastity belt with the lock and key. It is growing dark, Flambe announced unnecessarily. We must seek shelter. Already the peeny wallies are out. I don't even know what a peeny wally is. That's crazy. The largest of the Jamaican fireflies were darting among the thick vegetation, flashing nearly in unison. The sky overhead was dark gray and cloudy. The air smelled damp. Ben looked up. It's going to rain, Captain. We'd better find a place to keep us dry. We'll separate. Walk to the count of 200 and then return, said Flambe. We'll be able to cover more ground that way. Marie did not like the idea of striking out on her own, but she knew better than to protest. At least supper would not be a problem that night. During the day, they had caught a turtle and had packed it in a sack on the donkey's back along with herbs and mountain vegetables. They got some good eating going. They would make a turtle stew for their evening meal in a clay pot taken from the native hut. Ben stood on the edge of the precipice, surveying the valley below. He figured they should reach the valley tomorrow. The journey would then be easier. The sky rumbled. He looked up, and a flash of lightning lit the sky. He hoped one of the other two had better luck in finding a safe, dry place. The lightning frightened Marie, and she shivered in fear. When is this all going to end? She muttered miserably. I suppose we'll all sleep in the rain tonight. She sat down on a log and examined her feet. They were covered with broken blisters. She felt like crying, but she was too tired. Flambe caught sight of the dark shadow against the mountainside behind a clump of cottonwood trees. It was a large natural cave, perfect for the night. It was damp and foul-smelling, but it would keep them dry. The three met there. The three met where they had begun and followed Flambe to the entrance to the cave. Make us a fire, Marie. Why do I always have to make the fire? Flambe laughed. The woman always makes the fire, whether it be between her legs or between two flints. What's that dreadful smell? She asked, wrinkling up her nose. Bat doo-doo, except he said the other word. Bats! Marie cried. Are there bats in this cave? We can't stay here. A jagged shaft of lightning split apart a logwood tree not far from the entrance to the cave. The tree began burning. Ooh, that's scary. So let's see. I got a few more, just a couple more pages to um, chapter 3. So I'll be back with chapter 3.